Elena's apartment was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that didn't just fill a space, but wrapped itself around you like a heavy, invisible coat. Most days, she sat by the window, watching shadows stretch across the floor, tracing the minutes of a life that felt suspended. She had survived cancer twice. Everyone said she was strong, a fighter. But in truth, survival didn't feel like a victory. It felt like aftermath. Her hair had just started growing back, short and soft like new grass after a fire. The mirror, though, still made her wince. The surgeries, the weight loss, the pale skin, it all told a story she wasn't ready to hear. Some days she would touch the spot on her chest where the port used to be, half expecting to still feel it there. Even with it gone, she could feel its ghost. People had stopped visiting. At first, the support was overwhelming: casseroles, cards, prayers. But as the weeks passed, life moved on, for everyone except Elena. She didn't blame them. It's hard to sit with someone who reminds you that life can fall apart. Her old art studio, tucked at the back of her apartment, remained untouched. The door stayed closed, like a chapter she didn't dare reopen. Before cancer, she had been a high school art teacher, passionate, vibrant. She used to say art could pull pain out of people and turn it into something that breathed. But now, her brushes were dry, canvases blank, colors locked away in tubes. She no longer had the strength to squeeze. Every day, she told herself she should be grateful. She had beaten the odds not once, but twice. But that gratitude felt distant, like trying to touch sunlight from underwater. The truth she couldn't admit, even to herself, was this: she didn't know what came next. Survival had been the goal for so long that she never imagined what life would look like if she made it through. Nights were the worst. That's when the silence grew teeth. Memories of the treatment room, the beeping machines, the hollow faces of fellow patients would creep in, especially one Judy, her chemo partner, her friend. They'd held hands through 4 drips and shared terrible jokes. But Judy didn't make it, and somehow Elena did. That guilt, thick and unforgiving, sat on her chest like a stone. She often wondered if smiling again was even possible, or if joy was a language she had forgotten. Healing, it turned out, wasn't about the body alone. The knock on the door came on a Tuesday afternoon, soft, hesitant, almost apologetic. Elena hesitated before answering. She wasn't expecting anyone. Standing there was a woman in her late 20s, holding the hand of a small girl with a scarf wrapped tightly around her head. The woman smiled cautiously. "Miss Elena." Her voice carried a familiarity Elena couldn't place. "It's me, Maya, from your art class, 10 years ago." Elena blinked, and the fog in her mind slowly parted. Maya, the quiet girl with messy hair who used to stay after class to finish her paintings. The one who had once shyly told her that art made her feel like she belonged. They sat at the small kitchen table, the little girl avec clutching a plush bear and peeking curiously around the room. Maya shared her story in pieces. She had become a nurse, was raising Ava on her own. Then, a few months ago, Ava was diagnosed with a rare immune disorder. She had been in and out of hospitals since. "I remembered your class," Maya said, her voice steady but thick with memory. "How you always told us that color could speak when words failed. I wanted Ava to meet the woman who taught me how to be brave in silence." Elena didn't know what to say. Brave. She felt like a shadow of that woman Maya was describing. But Maya wasn't done. "We were wondering if you'd paint something for Ava's room, something bright, something that makes her feel strong." Elena's breath caught. She looked at Ava, whose smile was small but radiant. Something about that face, that hope, awakened something long buried inside her, a feeling she hadn't touched in years. "I haven't painted in a while," Elena whispered. "That's okay," Maya replied gently. "Maybe this could be the start." That night, Elena sat in the hallway outside her studio. The door was still closed, but her fingers brushed the handle like she was greeting an old friend. Inside, the smell of turpentine and canvas dust lingered like ghosts waiting to be remembered. She stood in the center of the room, heart pounding. Her easel stood tall, waiting. Everything was still where she had left it. She picked up a brush. It felt heavier than she remembered. Her hand trembled. The blank canvas stared back. She sat down, tears falling quietly. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming sense of returning. Like stepping back into her own skin after wandering lost. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt full of memory, of pain, of love, and maybe, just maybe, of possibility. The first strokes were awkward. The brush danced with hesitation, dipping into colors that felt too loud for the quiet she had lived in for so long. Alina didn't know what she was painting at first, just that her hands moved in rhythms her heart had not forgotten. Each evening, Maya and Ava would visit. Ava would bring drawings of her own stick figures with bright suns and smiling clouds. They taped them on the walls of Alina's studio, and suddenly the room began to feel alive again. Not haunted, but hopeful. Alina painted in silence, the only sounds, the occasional laugh from Ava, the soft hum of Maya reading aloud, or the scratch of pencil on paper. The piece slowly took shape, a field of sunflowers rising toward a golden sky, each bloom slightly different, imperfect, beautiful. In the center, a single flower bent by wind but still upright, still facing the light. She titled it, Still Smiling. When she finally finished, she stared at it for a long time. Not with pride, with peace. This wasn't a return to who she had been. That woman was gone. This was someone new, shaped by fire. Yes, but not consumed by it. Maya cried when she saw it. Ava touched the canvas like it was something sacred. "It's beautiful," Maya whispered. "Just like you." Alina smiled, and this time, it wasn't forced. It was soft, real, like dawn after a storm. News of the painting spread quickly among old colleagues and friends. A former student reached out and asked if she would consider teaching again, maybe just once a week. Another cancer survivor who saw her work at the clinic lobby asked if she offered private sessions. At first, Alina hesitated. The old fear whispered again, what if she wasn't strong enough? What if she failed? But then she remembered Ava's eyes, full of wonder. The way Maya had looked at her, not as someone broken, but someone whole. So she said yes. Months passed, and her studio became a small sanctuary for others' children, survivors, anyone who needed a place to be seen. She didn't just teach painting. She taught them how to feel again, how to turn their pain into strokes of color, how to let the light in. Alina never forgot the fear. It never fully left, but she had made peace with it. It walked beside her now, not behind her, a reminder of where she had been and how far she had come. She was no longer just a survivor. She was a teacher again, an artist, a healer, still smiling. Sometimes the battle isn't over when the illness ends. Sometimes the hardest part is learning how to live again. But in the quiet spaces between grief and hope, something beautiful can grow. Alina's story isn't just about beating cancer. It's about reclaiming purpose, about letting scars be the ink with which we rewrite our stories. If you've ever felt lost in the aftermath, may her journey remind you that healing isn't a straight line. It's a canvas, messy, layered, but yours to paint. If this story touched you, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your presence here helps keep these tales alive.